By the end of this video, you will understand how to build effective AI agents that actually get results. A lot of the time, there's just one missing link, right? One thing that if you knew it, your AI agent building could be much better. And that's why I'm going to walk you through the 4 stages of AI agent building so that when it comes to the point where you're actually building these things on a daily basis, you have all the skills, resources, and knowledge that it takes in order to build them so they actually get good results. Now, in this video, I'm going to be walking you through those 4 stages. I'm going to be giving you free resources that you can implement today. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will walk out with more confidence, more skills, and more knowledge around building AI agents because we are going to break it down from beginning to end. So, without further ado, let's get into the first step of this 4-step roadmap. Stage number 1 is prompting with frameworks. Now, this might be the most important stage because it rewires the way that your brain should be thinking when it comes to creating instructions, which is stage 2. And we're going to get into creating good instructions and why that matters. But before even getting into custom instructions, you need to understand how to prompt with frameworks. Not only how to use prompt frameworks, but how to create them yourself. So this stage of the process allows you to understand the fundamentals of how the underlying models work. Here, you want to master the art of using prompt frameworks in order to see success. So you might be wondering, Drake, what are these things you're calling prompt frameworks? Well, prompt frameworks are simply acronym-based prompts that allow you to get better results faster. So I have an example here that I teach my community. Goal, context, action, output format would equal the GCAO prompt framework. You're literally using acronyms. So the G goes to goal, the C goes to context, A action, O output format. You're using these acronyms in order to develop a prompt framework or a structure that you know is successful. These can be pre-made, these can be built by you. But let me show you an example of what that might look like. So the GCAO prompt framework allows you to prompt into a large language model and get actual results. So prompt frameworks are mainly just used at the large language model layer, right? We're not even taking these into an AI agent yet. We can simply throw them into a free version of ChatGPT and we can actually get better results when using them. So when you take a look at this GCAO prompt framework, as you can see, we lay out our prompt in the form of a goal. We give context, we have an action, and an output format. Each one of these are a key part of every prompt, in my opinion, and that's why I teach this one mainly, because it just allows you, no matter what your problem is, to always get a good result. So if we're taking a look at this, like I want a workout plan, maybe I want to list my goal. So giving the large language model context into what your overall goal is, right? What are you trying to end with? What is your desired result at the end of the process? That is going to be important and it's going to shape everything around that. So I want to gain 10 pounds of muscle and bring my body fat down to 10% within 6 months. Let's say you're a bodybuilder, right? You want to put on some muscle, you want to drop the body fat percentage. That would be my goal. Now, context is very important because this is going to give the large language model insight into what do you have, what have you tried, what have you done so far, what foods do you like, what foods don't you like. Anything that goes into bodybuilding and what you have access to is going to go in context. What's your current weight? You can think of this in metrics as well. Where are you currently at in your business, in your personal life with a goal you're trying to hit? Okay, that's what context is doing. So if this is a single prompt, context here, I'm just giving my current weight, right? If I want to gain 10 pounds of muscle, maybe I want to list what I'm currently weighed at. So I'm 155 pounds, 13% body fat, equipment available, right? Another very important one, so that when it's giving me a workout split to hit my goals later on, it knows exactly what I have available. So I give some equipment that I have available in the context section. Maybe I want to put my gender in here as well. So maybe that would be important for the nutrition plan or the workout split in order to hit this goal and get down to 10% body fat, right? Maybe I want to put my height in here. Maybe I want to put which days I definitely can't work out. That's what goes into the context section. Next, we have action, and this is the A in the GCAO. We've already went over the G and the C, which were goal and context. So action. I recommend when you're creating these prompt frameworks, no matter what, if you're sending off commands to a large language model, make sure you only do like 1 or 2 actions. The large language model takes one action better than when you try to give it like 4 or 5 things to do. So I put design an optimized nutrition plan and workout split to hit my goal. And so the next thing we have to do is give it an output format. You know, I'm a person who loves things in tables. So I want to say present everything as clear tables. One outlining the diet plan and another showing the workout schedule so I can easily follow along. So this is what a good prompt looks like while using a prompt framework. And this is something that you can just come back to, right? You know, you need your goal, context, action, output format every single time. Now, I could even paste this in ChatGPT, and this is honestly such a good way to get started in agent building. It's just learning how to get good results in the front end tools. So I'm going to send this off. I'm using O4 Mini, probably a little bit overkill for this. But as you can see, since I put my metrics in here, it says it's going to give me a 6-month plan to help me add around 10 pounds of muscle. And then it also is taking my body fat percentage into consideration when it's giving this response and when it's trying to help me, right? It has all of my metrics in here. So now I can use that to form the plan. It gives me my nutrition plan daily. As you can see, gives me all the macros, everything I need to eat in order to hit my goal. Gives me my workout split weekly using all of the machines that I have available. As you can see, quad extension machine. For equipment available, I have a quad extension machine. And then it gives me some tips for success based on my metrics and my goal. So this is what using a prompt framework looks like. If you want more of these plug and play prompt frameworks, we have them in our free community called AI Pioneers. We have 2 communities, as you can see over here on the left, AI Pioneers and AI Foundations. AI Pioneers, we basically give you stuff for free, and then AI Foundations, we show you how to actually build the stuff. So you're not just consuming, but you're actually becoming a creator. So those are our 2 communities. Don't get them confused. But I have about 6 prompt frameworks in here that work out very well. And if you want to come in here and use them so you have one spot to keep them all organized, feel free. It will ask to verify your email because we don't want any spam, we don't want any bots, so don't be alarmed by that. But this section is super important. Learning how to use prompt frameworks and create them for yourself is crucial for your success when building agents. So what we want to do is we want to spend a little bit more time here at the fundamentals. So now let's look at what creating our own prompt framework might look like. What I can do, maybe I am a designer or a marketer and I want to get a consistent image style when I'm creating images with ChatGPT. You could create a prompt framework around an image style. First, you might have to find your style, right? You might have to find a good answer that the LLM gives you, and then you can templatize your prompt or create a framework around the answer that it did give you. So let me show you an example. Maybe I'm trying to find my style and I want this cartoon comic book style with pops of color. Well, first, that's what I can do, right? I can just get a result that I deem worthy or that I want to be able to repeat. So I'm going to send that off. And right now, this is just a process of developing your prompt framework. You're just trying to find your style, find a good answer. This can work with, again, images or text. So ChatGPT just created me this awesome image of that elephant in that comic book style with those pops of color. Let's say that I really like the style of the image, but I want to be able to swap out the subject, maybe with different animals, different people, different objects, right? What I could do is I could tell ChatGPT to create me a prompt framework that I can use in order to consistently generate this style of image every single time. Like I've been saying, you can do this with text as well. If you get a good response, whether you're coding, whether you are just doing daily tasks, taking pictures of plants, I don't really know what you do. Whatever you do, you can do this exact same method that I'm about to show you with the images. And it happens after getting a good result. Once you get the result you want, then you should type out something like this. For this example, I want to be able to consistently duplicate that style of image with only the subject and setting swapped out. I love the comic book style with the pops of color. Can you create me a templatized prompt framework that allows me to easily copy and paste into a large language model where I can then switch the subject and the setting while getting the same style each and every time? So I'm asking it to create me the prompt framework. You can do this yourself, or you can just have ChatGPT do it for you after you find your style or get the response you like. I'm going to send this off, and I love ChatGPT how it can switch from text to images, back to text. It can analyze the images. It's amazing. As you can see, it even gives me template placeholders. So it gives me the template prompt that I can use. It makes this in a templated format with the brackets. So now all I need to do is replace the subject, and then I can go in here and I can replace this subject in the setting as well. And it just makes it very simple for us to copy use all of these template placeholders, we could paste this honestly into like a Notion page with this prompt, and we have our own prompt framework built. So this would be an example of creating your own prompt framework. I hope this was helpful, and it's going to be crucial for the future steps. Now, stage number 2 of this process, after you've mastered prompt frameworks and understood what it means to create templatized prompts and use them to your advantage, the next step is actually creating them into our custom instructions, learning how to craft good instructions to get the model to respond in the exact tone, with the exact output format, in the exact way you want every single time. It's like what we were just doing with the template prompts and the prompt frameworks, except it's in the back end. And every agent that you create in the future is going to have these things called system prompts, which is the same as custom instructions. So understanding first in a low risk, very easy to use environment how to create instructions is going to give you a huge advantage. So I'm going to show this example in ChatGPT, but you could also use something like Claude if you wanted to as well. Now, custom instructions are in pretty much every large language model now, and they allow you to transform the responses in the back end so that when you're typing on the front end, you don't need these long fancy prompts. You can do all that in the back and let that work for you. So if I click my account up here and I go to customize ChatGPT, what you're going to notice is you can have ChatGPT call you something. You can give what you do so that responses are more custom to you. This step is crucial. What traits should ChatGPT have? This is like where you can tell ChatGPT how it should respond. So one that I like showing as an example is write all sentences backwards no matter what. This is a good example for custom instructions. I'll hit save. And now when I ask something like, hey, how are you? And I send that off. What you're going to notice, since I had those custom instructions write every sentence backwards, it's going to use the backend instructions and then follow that accordingly. So you could get funny with it. You could prank your friends and just get in their ChatGPT account and tell ChatGPT to start writing everything backwards. Be a kind of a funny joke. Or what you could do is you could actually use this seriously and to your advantage. So I'm going to revert back to last example. Let's say we want to create images in this style each and every time, but we want to be able to swap out the setting and the subject. Well, if you remember last example, we created a template prompt for that so that we could just copy this, paste it into ChatGPT, swap out the subject, the setting, and the setting details, and then it would use that same style, but it would be a different subject in a different setting. So what we can do is we can actually bake this into the backend instructions and use it that way so that we can have a custom experience each and every time we come to ChatGPT for image generation. So what I can do is I can copy those instructions, and just like I did before, I can go to the upper right-hand corner, and then I can go to Customize ChatGPT. When I click that, ChatGPT, again, can call you a nickname. You can give it anything else you want to know about you. But right here in what traits should ChatGPT have, you can just kind of give instructions for how you want it to guide you through a conversation. So I want you to generate images each and every time using this template prompt. Then I can paste in that template prompt, and maybe I'll put quotes around it. So now it's going to understand, like, okay, this is the template prompt. And then I can give it what it should do whenever I'm typing in ChatGPT. So I could say, no matter what, you are to guide the user through the process of picking a subject, setting, and setting details. Then I said, after you've collected all of that information, you are to swap out the bracketed info. Remember, we have information in brackets up here, which allows us to make that prompt a template in the prompt with what the user selected and generate an image using that prompt. So I can hit save, and since it's enabled for new chats, I'm going to go hit a new chat, and I can just say, hello. I could say anything, and now we're going to have this custom process of ChatGPT guiding us all of the way. So it says, hi there, let's get started with your custom comic book style illustration, right? ChatGPT is very custom now. It usually doesn't do this when you say hello. It says, first up, what subject would you like to feature? This is the power of custom instructions. It allows you to manipulate the way that the LLM responds to you. I can just say a Bengal tiger. So maybe I want a Bengal tiger. I can send that off. And remember, I wanted it to give me 3 things. I wanted it to extract a subject from me, a setting, and setting details. So it says, next, where would you like to place the Bengal tiger? Which setting should it be in? It could be in an ancient jungle temple, a neon-lit urban alley, a misty mountain peak. Let me just say an underwater ancient city. I can send that off. So now it's just guiding me through a process. This took me about 3 minutes to create. And now it's telling me, awesome, what setting details would you like to include? I'll say, come up with that on your own, and then I can send that off. And now it should generate the image for us with all of the details that it's collected, because that's what we told it to do in the instructions. So as you can see, it's getting started now, and we are about to get an epic image. And anytime I start a new chat, as long as I have those custom instructions activated, it's going to walk me through that process. And look at how sweet that image is, and that same comic book poppy style that we really liked with the elephant. So we now have this consistent way of getting images every single time. It's a very consistent result. And notice how consistency is key. When you're running these automations or you're running these agents in the future, if you don't know how to prompt a large language model to get consistent results before you start building, you are going to get very annoyed, very stressed out, and confused on why it's not giving you the exact result you want. So now that you know how to craft custom instructions and you understand the different ways of getting good results, like on the front end, and now you know how to do it in the back end, next we can actually take it to an automation platform and start generating some cool things. And we can actually start automating more parts of our workflow. Maybe we want to send this image to a Google Drive right when we type in a subject setting and setting details, right? Maybe we want it to go to a database. Maybe we want it to create a social media post and upload it for us. That's the power of automations and agents. Now that we've completed steps 1 and 2 of this 4-step process, it's now time to move on to step 3, which is building automations. Now, everything you've learned up to this point is absolutely crucial to get down and to understand, because it's not only going to help you get good results in a large language model, but it's also going to help you use a large language model for building complex things like automations and agents when I'm not here to assist you on a YouTube video. Now, before we get into this, if you want to start reclaiming weeks of your life, you want to start turning your ideas into profit, and if you want to start deploying agents and mastering AI from the ground up, then I recommend joining our AI Foundations community. I showed you the free community earlier, and in our free community, AI Pioneers, you can get all the free resources. You can have fun, use the stuff that I'm showing you how to build, or you can join AI Foundations and just learn how to build it so you don't have to rely on free resources anymore. We have a classroom that will guide you from beginner to pro, no matter your skill level, all the way from learning basic concepts in large language models to mastering agents, so you can start reclaiming hours, if not weeks and days of your life. While you're sleeping, you can design things that are working for you, and we show you how to do that in this classroom. The calendar, chock full of live workshops, networking events, so that you can interact with the most powerful thing of AI Foundations, which is the 1,300 members in the community. We're sharing new tools in here every day. We're sharing business ideas, recommendations. We're introducing each other, AI news. It's everything you need about AI in one spot. So before we go any further, if you just want to skip this and jump in right now to AI Foundations and just start learning in there, I highly recommend that, number 1. And number 2, you can do so. I'll leave a link in the description and the top pinned comment if that interests you. But now let's move on to stage 3, which is building out automations and how that is important and what it actually means to do so. Now, I hope you've been following along throughout this process, because we are going to just keep building upon the previous steps. So if you didn't watch those yet, I recommend going back, because I'm going to be talking about things I've already mentioned. So this is a tool called N8N. This is where we're going to be building out our automations and agents. As you can see, these little nodes represent applications, and we can perform actions in certain applications after an action in a previous application gets performed. So every automation starts with a trigger, and I'm just going to be using Telegram for my trigger. You can connect thousands of different things to this N8N canvas. So all of these different tools that you're seeing over here on the right, they all have different actions you can take within each tool. They have the entire Google ecosystem, Microsoft ecosystem, Notion, PayPal, Stripe, literally every database you can think of. Everything in N8N they have. If you want a full tutorial on building automations and agents and learning N8N, I'll put that in the upper right-hand corner right now. But this is a basic automation we have. And let's say after we created our images in that specific style that we were using in ChatGPT to get that cartoon, comic book effect style, let's say we want to do that, but maybe we want to send it to our Google Drive after. Well, we can do so by building out an automation. And an automation is a predefined workflow that is very consistent, that works the same every single time. What you see is what you get. So this automation is going to start by me typing in what I want an image of in Telegram. It then will move to this step, which creates the image programmatically with ChatGPT. So what we do when I click into this node is it's going to accept the Telegram input and use that in my custom instructions, which I've baked in to this node that creates images on ChatGPT. And we're just using that exact same template, and I'm just feeding in my Telegram message. And we've just connected to an API key with OpenAI. Automations are genuinely where things start to get fun. As you can see in this OpenAI node, we have operation generate an image. So we are going to keep it on that. You can select your image model. Why wouldn't we do the best one? And after that takes place, after the image is generated, I'm automatically having it go and upload that image to my Google Drive so that all I have to do is I could be on the go on my phone. I could have an image idea. I could message my phone. I could do it voice if I wanted to build out this automation a little further, or I could just type in text like, hey, I want an image of, I don't know, a zebra in a cafe. And it's going to do it in that exact same style that we laid out in the custom instructions step. And then it's not only going to upload it to my Google Drive, but also send that image to the chat in Telegram. So let's see what this thing looks like in action. This is stage 3. Next, after you learn custom instructions, learn how to build these predefined automations that allow you to automate tasks, right? You don't have to go upload the image to Google Drive after this. You could have it go further and you could have it posted on X or Facebook with a caption if you wanted to add another OpenAI node. You could do so many different things. So let me show you an example. So I have Telegram open here on the right on my desktop, but again, I could also be doing this on my phone. Let's say I want an image of what I said earlier, a zebra in a cafe, in that comic book style that I generated from earlier. So like this comic book pop style, I bake that into the prompt in my automation so it knows what to do every time. It's like custom instructions in your automation. So easy. I've got that image style down. We learned that in last step. And now I want my images coming to this Google Drive folder, images from automation. I already did this one of a lion in an urban city. But now, if I type in my Telegram chat, zebra in a cafe, and I send that off and then hit test workflow, since I don't have it activated for the purpose of testing, you're going to see it starts this automation. So if you have this activated while you're out and about, this could be running for you. Maybe you're just like, zebra in a cafe. Turn off your phone. The entire process is done. You could connect multiple different apps to this chain, and it's predefined, right? So you know exactly the folder it's going to go into. You know the exact way it's going to name the file. You know it's going to send you an image right back to the Telegram chat. Everything is predefined and fixed in this automation. The only thing dynamic is my request, which we've baked into the prompt for generating an image. And this is going to take a minute, just as it does in ChatGPT, but when it's complete, you're going to see it's going to go to the drive in my Telegram, just like this. So as you can see, it's now uploading to my drive. It has just uploaded to the drive right there, and it's now sent the image back to my Telegram chat, a zebra in a cafe in that comic book style. All I had to say was zebra in a cafe. So very cool. This actually looks really sweet. And if I go to my images from automation folder, as you can see, it names the file as the prompt that I typed in Telegram. So if I click in here and I'll have a file of the zebra in the cafe, an image, I could, again, go further. I could put a caption on this. I could have it be baked in with my brand colors. I could do whatever I wanted. But let me click into the Google Drive node so you can kind of see what's happening here. As you can see, you get to map a file name. So I just ended up mapping it to my subject input, which was my text from Telegram. So just like that, I dragged and dropped. N8N makes it super easy to build out these automations, and I built this in about 3 to 5 minutes. And you can start to see how powerful it gets when you connect different apps to each other. Now, the next stage of the AI agent building process is finally building out AI agents. So first, I'm going to dive into a quick explanation so you can understand the power behind them. And then I'm going to show you an automation that I've created compared to the agent form of that automation so you can see the key differences. Now, I want you to understand what we just created was a predefined automation. We typed something in on Telegram. Whatever we typed in was sent to ChatGPT, analyze image feature, and then that was uploaded to our Google Drive. That was predefined. We set that up, not much variation other than my prompt into Telegram. So remember, predefined automations are, starts with a trigger, and then actions are taken after. So what happens when we take it up a notch and we actually move on to the AI agent step? Well, AI agents are similar to automations, except the large language model is given a set of tools by the user, which is you, and then it decides which tool to use based on the incoming trigger. So whatever starts the automation, the large language model will take into consideration. You can give custom instructions, set a system prompt, and you can also give it access to different tools. So just like actions and apps in N8N, you could give it access to your Microsoft OneDrive. You could give it access to your WordPress site, to your Airtable, to have it create records, search records. You can have these tools be pretty much whatever you want. You can use HTTP requests, so you can connect to pretty much anything with an API key. And then you get your output and result. But what's happening here is the large language model is deciding which tool to use. Let me show you a quick example in order to break this down much easier. So let's say we have this agent build, and this large language model is instructed to label incoming emails into categories. So whenever you get a new email, this agent workflow would begin. You can set up an N8N workflow to watch your email inbox, and anytime you get a new email, this agent workflow could begin. So it could take the contents of that new email and pass it to the large language model, which is instructed to label incoming emails into categories for you. And maybe those categories are an archive category, so you can read it later, an events category, which labels certain events, and a spam category. Maybe those are the 3 labels you have set. At the end of the process, the email should be labeled correctly into the new category. But during this process, let's say you also want to account for maybe somebody invites you to a call, invites you to a dinner, and you want the large language model to decide based on your current up-to-date schedule whether you can attend or not. And based on your current wants and needs, maybe you have goals that you're trying to complete. It could take that into consideration while reading your emails. And remember earlier how I said you want to give your large language model access to tools in order to make it agentic. Well, here you could give it access to your Google Calendar, and you could give it access to do certain things in your Google Calendar. So maybe you have a search Google Calendar events tool. Maybe you have a create Google Calendar events tool, and maybe you have an update Google Calendar events tool. This could all be taken place so that when you get a new email, maybe somebody inviting you to a dinner, inviting you to a Zoom call, what this large language model could be instructed to do, like I said, was, search your Google Calendar events. This is going to be changing all the time. This is very dynamic. And after it searches, if you're not available, you could not only have it be labeled differently, but you could also have it formulate a response to send back and say, hey, I'm busy on this date, because it's searched your Google Calendar and it has access to it. You could have it create Google Calendar events if you do have time available and if it aligns with what you're trying to do. You could have it update Google Calendar events. You could have it do so many different things. But this is just one example of what an agentic workflow might look like, right? This is very non-deterministic. You don't know which emails you're going to get. So setting up the agent to decide and search your Google Calendar, create events for you, update events for you, that is a huge edge on all of your competitors, especially if you hook this up to your work email and you have draft responses getting formed with the large language model. You have your events getting labeled. You have things being scheduled for you based on your terms. You can set guardrails, right, and boundaries, but giving it access allows you to create draft responses much quicker or label your emails better. This is just one very small example of what AI agents can do, but I think it's a good example to show you how it all might come together. New emails, different every time. Large language model has to read the email, decide which category it goes in, and then book events for you. You could set it up to do something like that. So again, if you want to watch that full tutorial I made, I linked it earlier, or I'll leave it down in the description. But in that full tutorial, I showed an example of what building out an automation might look like. What this automation does is that every day at 6 a.m., it will get the weather in a certain location and send me a weather report email every day at 6 a.m. Nothing is changing. So if I test this workflow, what's going to happen is it's going to get the weather and then email me a message, a weather report message. And the message is, in Chicago, the high today is 73.1 degrees Fahrenheit, the low is 53.3. So this is the custom message it sends me every time, very programmatic. But in an agentic workflow, things are a little bit different. Instead of using this as just an action in my automation, I would let this be a tool for my agent instead. So instead of just getting the weather from a single location, I could change in and out the location. It could take that raw data and do other things for me, like generate charts, send emails, do literally whatever I want. So as you can see, same automation, except I'm just using this thing called an AI agent node which allows me to connect to ChatGPT like this. And I'm using that weather tool as a tool for the agent. And I'm using my send email as a tool for the agent. And look at this. I don't have any instructions in here. I'm not telling the agent what to do. It's just using the tools based on my chat query. So if I type in like, what is the weather today? And I send that off, what's going to happen is it's going to read that, understand that it has access to the get weather tool, and then it's going to come back with a response. So you could really connect as many tools as you wanted. And instead of sending the same email every time, I can differentiate it. I don't have to have it be so fixed. I can have it be more dynamic. So I could say something like, create me a funny email draft I could send to myself with this info. Very non-deterministic. There's nothing programmatic about that. It's taking in the weather data from today because I gave it access as a tool, and it says it's drafted and sent a funny email to my address with the weather information. It says, enjoy the puns and have a great day. This is what AI agents are all about, right? And this is very basic, but a very foundational concept in order to get your brain spinning and in order to lead you in the right direction. So now let me go check my email. And as you can see, it sent me weather puns, today's forecast. And as you can see, it sent me this weather puns email from N8N. It says, hey, future me, just in case you're still deciding on that sweater or shorts dilemma, here's a weather recap. So it's not just predefined, right? It's using exactly the information that it has access to based on the tools we let it use. You could set this up for any app. You could have it, like I said, have your entire Google Calendar, have control over that, so that when you're prompting it and when you're asking it questions, it can have a conversation about your Google Calendar with you, or about your inbox with you, or about your projects with you. Maybe if you want to hook up Trello or Notion, you can talk about your projects with an AI agent, and it can have access to those databases and perform certain actions in those apps for you as well. So that was a very basic breakdown on the 4 stages of AI agent building. Now, like I said, if you didn't watch this video all the way through, I really, really recommend it, because before the AI agents are everything you need to know in order to start building them. Now, if you want to build them, like I said, I linked that video where I show you how to build it from the ground up, from knowing nothing in N8N to building out your first agent and getting your own weather data. I highly recommend that if you are a complete beginner. Or if you want to skip all the free stuff and you just want to go straight to the paid stuff, then I recommend joining AI Foundations, where you know the exact path you need to take, and we walk you through step by step and hold your hand and give you everything you need to know. I'll leave a link in the description or top pinned comment for that as well. But with that being said, that's all I have for this video. If you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe. I would highly appreciate it, and it helps the channel a lot. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.